Sacred Diary of St. Francis de Sales, July 7. The reason we do not receive the grace of sanctification, one well-received communion suffices to make us saints, is because we do not allow the Lord to reign in us as he desires. The divine Savior comes to us and finds our hearts filled with desires, affections, and preferences. This is not what he wants. He wishes to find us empty so that he may be the master. Hence, he tells the sacred lover to place him as a seal upon her heart, where nothing may enter without his permission. Spiritual entertainments. On July 7, 1594, the devil stirred up great jealousy over the approval that St. Francis de Sales had received in his new position. Some envious individuals plotted to slander him in an attempt to undermine him. Their tactic was to speak with the Bishop of Geneva to sway his heart against Francis, pretending to be his friends and presenting themselves as people concerned with the interests of the see. They spoke of Francis to the bishop much like the Jews referred to Jesus and his apostles. They told him that Francis de Sales had barely joined the church and the Clergy of Geneva, yet with his gentleness and gift of speech, he was winning over the faithful and overshadowing the bishop himself. They claimed the young man, with his demeanor of a teacher and doctor, aimed to reform the clergy. All this resulted in the bishop's animosity towards Francis, making him doubt his qualities and his decision to appoint him to the new position. Francis felt the change in the bishop's attitude and realized that the slander had struck deep into his heart. However, knowing himself to be innocent, the young man decided, in the sight of God, to peacefully endure this great bitterness. He continued his normal activities: confession, preaching, visiting the sick, participating in ecclesiastical assemblies, always showing the same respect for his prelate. Impressed by Francis's constancy and piety, the bishop pondered whether the envious comments might be slanderous, prompting him to seek clarity on the matter. Realizing his mistake, he confided in Francis, who in turn shared what he had suffered during that time, but had chosen to endure it in silence out of respect for him. Additionally, he requested forgiveness for the slanderers, as the bishop wished to punish them, but Francis successfully secured the desired pardon for them. From then on, the friendship between the prelate and our saint remained unaltered. The pious Bishop Granier regretted all his life the fact that he had allowed himself to be so easily deceived by such deceitful individuals. If the prelate had known that on a day like this, 233 years later, his provost would be honored as a saint and doctor. Indeed, in 1877, precisely on July 7, cardinals, consultants, and other officials of the sacred rites gathered in Rome at the Apostolic Palace of the Vatican to unanimously implore that St. Francis de Sales be declared a doctor of the Holy Church. Humiliation precedes glory. Meditation of July 7. The central teaching of St. Francis de Sales in this experience, as reflected in his writings, is the importance of allowing God to fully reign in our hearts. To attain the grace of sanctification, we must empty ourselves of worldly desires and affections so that Christ can truly be the master of our lives. The story from July 7, 1594, illustrates a trial that St. Francis had to endure when he became the target of slander by envious individuals seeking to undermine his influence and position. Despite the pain caused by the change in attitude of the Bishop of Geneva, who had been swayed by these false friends, St. Francis maintained his inner peace and continued with his duties, showing unwavering respect and piety toward his superior. His patience and devotion eventually led the bishop to recognize the injustice of the slander. The great lesson from St. Francis in this experience is the practice of patience, inner peace, and forgiveness. He endured the slander in silence, trusting in divine justice and in time as the revealer of truth. His humble and resolute approach demonstrated that humiliation often precedes glory, a truth honored centuries later when he was recognized as a saint and doctor of the Church. In summary, St. Francis de Sales teaches us that true holiness is manifested through total surrender to God, patience in the face of adversity, readiness to forgive, and trust that truth and justice will ultimately prevail. God be blessed forever.